Bam! Holy smokes. What is going on, folks? Corey, Jesse, what up? Move this damn desk down a little bit. All right. I think we are appearing, we should be appearing on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Caceres, what's up, brother man? Guys, give me a comment. Just let me know that you could hear me. All right. 5x5. Cassettas, thank you, sir. All right. So for those of you that are watching for the first time, what's going on? My name is Master Chim. It's actually Justin Garcia, but everybody's got a superhero name. That happens to be mine. Frank Denman, what's up, brother man? And today is the Warrior Stream. I'm here every Wednesday, noon. For those of you that are watching for the first time on Instagram, the streaming platform that I use, StreamYard, just figured out how to make it happen on Instagram. So I'll be here too every Wednesday moving forward, barring any technical difficulty. Willie, what's up, brother man? Those of you that are watching for the first time, feel free to drop a comment and say what's up, especially if you are watching from Instagram, because I want to make sure that the comments work from Instagram. So hook a brother up and just give me a thumbs up, a shout, something. So today we have a pretty interesting, I think valuable, maybe it's interesting and valuable, that would be ideal, topic. And the title of it is Yearly Planning is Bullshit. Yearly planning is bullshit. And I want to add a little bit of context to that because I'm also the guy that said, you never want to sabotage anybody's energy. So when I say yearly planning is bullshit, I can't just say that, because if I'm not adding any context, then maybe I am sabotaging people's energy, and that's not what I am into. I am not into making bad days worse, right? So everybody's working on their shit. I just try to give them some tools so they can work on it a little bit more effectively. So let's get into it. Yearly planning. I wrote an email the other day talking about how there are 5 real scales to planning that I deal with when looking to plan my work. And it's the yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and then the state plan. Now, the state plan is really beat to beat, moment to moment, minute to minute. What type of state are you in, right? So plan on being in a good mood, in other words, right? And when we start to actually have the rubber meet the road, there seems to be a scale that progresses pretty naturally, organically. It kind of makes sense. But then we start getting into some abstraction, right? So I was on my mastermind call with my guys this morning, and we covered some of this at some point in the call. And one of the things that I went over was that it's funny how we could schedule what we're going to do today, but if somebody had a yearly plan, right? Let's say that January 1st, I have a yearly plan, and you ask them, okay, what are you doing December 8th? And they're like, I don't fucking know. I would question, like, well, what is the utility of that plan? Not that there isn't one, but questioning, well, what is it then? If you said you just planned your year and you can't tell me what you're doing on December 8th, then I want you to add a little context to that. Well, now here's the thing. I don't think having an answer for what you'd be doing on December 8th is necessarily valuable either. It's just, I want you to understand that your plan is not, and this is a distinction that needs to be made, a schedule. Planning your year is different from scheduling your year. There is certainly some overlap between the two of them, but if you can't tell me what you're doing on some random day 11 months from now, then it's not a scheduling exercise, right? So as we get further and further away from now, it gets more and more abstract as it goes on. I don't know if I ever told you guys the story of, some of you guys certainly heard it, a buddy of mine a few years ago I ran into in my old neighborhood. I saw him And what's up? Hey, what's up, Justin? What's going on? What have you been up to? We get to talking, and he tells me he's going to open up a sneaker store. I said, oh, okay, where at? He said, in the Bronx. All right, what neighborhood? Oh, I haven't really decided. Oh, okay, what kind of store is it going to be? Just sneakers, everything. Well, maybe this, maybe that. All right, what is the name of the store? What is the, do you have are you going to have a website? And the more questions I asked, the more it illustrated that he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But what he said sounds like a good idea. And I'm pretty sure I was the only one that asked him for a little bit more information at a little bit more of a smaller scale, closer to now. Okay, you're going to open up this sneaker store one day in the future. But what is the process of you doing that right now? And I think when you find that I'm such or why I'm such an advocate for mastering the day, right? Master the 24-hour cycle. That's the program that I have out. If you master your day, then basically what you are doing is what you can do at any given point. The problem is that people conflate, even with the most intricate of plans, they conflate anything having been done as a result of it, aside from some clarity and some direction. The action still needs to happen. And by the way, the action is the only thing that matters. So why, to me, is yearly planning bullshit? Because there's a certain point where you have to acknowledge you have no idea what's going to happen. The way I say it, and I actually said it to my guys this morning, if you have somebody that tells you exactly what he's going to have at the end of the year, he's either going to have it or he's not going to have it. If he doesn't have it, it might be because something happened that brought him off course. It might be that he couldn't figure out the course from the beginning. It might be that he had a better alternative, and he pivoted towards that at some point during the year. But the guy who can figure out exactly what he's going to get at the end of the year is going to have to maintain a certain amount of tunnel vision. And everything comes at a cost. That tunnel vision, the cost of the tunnel vision is maybe some of the balance in your life. Maybe it's the opportunities that you've passed up. And I'm not saying it is or isn't even worth that cost. All I'm saying is we should be clear when we say the utility of what the things we're doing, what the effect that they have on our actual productivity. What's the usefulness of a yearly plan? I would say whatever the usefulness is, it pales in comparison to the direction it provides in the face of what we're doing today. Another way to say it, if you're somebody who says he wants to make $1 million, it's like, okay, you want to make $1 million. If you don't know this, that's 83 1/3 a month, $1,000, right? 83 1/3. If you do not have a plan to make 83 1/3 a month, then I question the value, the utility, the even purpose of saying you want to make $1 million. Why don't you start by saying, maybe I want to make 83 1/3 a month? So somebody could say, yeah, but if they say that, it's the same thing as saying $1 million. I said, I don't agree. Because if you say you're going to make 83 1/3 a month, at the end of the month, you realize you didn't make it. And it makes you lower the scale a little bit more. I would argue that it's much more useful if you make $5,000 a month to say, I want to make $10,000 a month, than it is if you make $5,000 a month to say right away, I want to make 83 1/3 a month. There's no reason why that won't happen or can't happen. But I don't understand the pragmatic approach to such a grand goal without the steps that lead you from here to there. If I had a ladder, and the ladder was, I had to get on a 30-foot roof. So I needed a 30-foot ladder. But the ladder had rungs that I can't reach from one to the next. Do I even have a ladder? Did I, because of this thing that I called a ladder arbitrarily, did I now, because I have this, did I give myself the ability to get on a 30-foot roof? No, I didn't. So having this ladder whose rungs I can't reach is literally the same in an absolute sense as not having a ladder at all. And that's the heart of the point of what I'm trying to make here. If you're an individual who has a yearly plan, but there is absolutely no line from where you are to where you say you want to go, then it is just as useful as not having a plan at all. So what's the alternative? The alternative was, number one, take care of the state of now and then the state of the day, right? 24-hour cycle. If you guys haven't gotten the program, yeah, this is, I didn't make this thing to pitch this free program, but if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you could message, DM me the word balance, and I will send you that link. As a matter of fact, on the other platforms, you can look in the description. You'll be able to see it there. But what it comes down to is control the controllable. And the further away you get from this moment in time, the less you're going to have control over. I should say the more variables are going to be in the mix. So it's not that you're going to lose control of what you have now in the future. It's that if you're trying to anchor your current position to something in the future, the further along that goes, the more variables you're going to have to contend with along the way. If you told me 15 years ago, right? So 15 years ago, I'm 7-8 years into owning my jiu-jitsu school. If you would have told me that one day I'd be living in Pennsylvania with my family, that my wife and I would have 4 kids, that I'd be doing online coaching and hosting mastermind groups for entrepreneurs, like, if you would have told me that, I would have been like, well, I don't understand. Why would I want to do that? Because if had you asked me back then what I wanted to do, I would say, well, I want a huge school. I want multiple jungle gym locations. That's the name of my martial arts academy. I want multiple martial arts locations. But the thing is, as time goes on, we pivot. We see different opportunities. Different things become important. You start developing priorities. You think you got things figured out, then have a couple of kids. And then talk to me about that life plan that you generated. When I remember, talking about that, I've been wanting to homeschool since I graduated school, right? And prior to my wife and I having kids, my plan for homeschool was to follow what's called a classical education, a classical model of education. And there's a whole curriculum that I designed before I had a child of what this homeschool curriculum would be, what I thought the ideal curriculum would be. I'd say not even 6 months into being a parent, I realized that this really wasn't going to work the way that I designed it. So I had to pivot. So then I figured it out for my oldest, right? My oldest, who just turned 17. I figured it out. Okay, this is the way he's going to learn. This is what we're going to do. And then my second son came along and was completely different than my first. He didn't respond the same way. He didn't have the same desires and drives. It was a different personality. I had to create a different way for him to learn. And then the third child, and then the fourth child, the same thing. So had I said, when I created this very impressive to me homeschool curriculum, 17, 18, 19 years ago, however long it was, if I said that I was going to stick to that no matter what, I would have been shoehorning my kids into a plan that they didn't fit in any comfortable way. What did I opt to do instead? I opted to pivot. Given new information, we pivot. We call it, in my Mission Mastery program, it's called the bumpy road model. It's like every once in a while you see a detour sign. When the detour represents more power than the road you're on, you go. When the detour presents itself as an escape, right? You call those exit ramps. Like, you don't take an exit ramp because that just means you want to get off of this road because it's too uncomfortable for you. And that's not what I'm advocating for. What I'm saying is, if given new information, you evolve as an individual and become something a little bit different than the person who set this plan in motion, you have to give yourself permission to pivot. The great thing about an outlook like that is that it doesn't absolve you. It doesn't get you off the hook of things that are based on standards. Hard work, perseverance, morality, all these things that we know that are significant in an individual who's going to succeed in any balanced, sustainable way. There's no reason to throw those out with any pivoting plan. Just because I'm not looking to, at this point, create a whole chain of martial arts schools like I had endeavored to 15 years ago, that doesn't absolve me of working hard and doing all those things that I've done since day one in business. Things evolve. Things change. All right. I'm a different person looking at the world in a different way through a different lens 15 years later. And I have to be true to who I am. Again, that doesn't get me off the hook for having to work hard, for having to be consistent, for having to maintain my relationships, for doing all the things that a balanced, productive man has to do. But the application of those efforts, that has evolved along with it, right? So, who else we got here? Big Dog. What's up, brother man? Willie Quesada says, don't forget to like. That's right. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm always terrible with that. So, man, that might be the first 15-minute thing, but I got out everything that I wanted to get out a lot faster than I thought I was going to get it out. I haven't had anybody on Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, do me a favor and put a comment so I could see it. I see a bunch of you watch on Instagram. Don't be shy. Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, guys. I'm going to call it there. Man, that was fast. It's all right. Unless you guys got any questions. I wanted to go over a couple of different points, and I did pretty organically rather than just read off a list. I just went. But I appreciate you guys. Every single Wednesday I'm here. I'm now going to be on Instagram as well. Those of you that want that program, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you could message me or DM me balance. Just DM me the word balance, and I will send it to you. Anybody else who is not on those platforms, you can look in the description. It's called Master the 24-Hour Cycle. It's completely free. I made it a few years ago. It's how I conduct my day. If you look on my whiteboard, it's hard to see, but I have my daily schedule written down. It's one of the things that I do every day to keep me on mission and productive. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you for joining, and I will see you next week. So as always, brothers and sisters, pressure to power.